What's good, guys? It's your boy Ama FX. So, this was a trade I took on the 14th of October. Yeah, I mean, like 6 days ago. I'm recording this video on the 20th of October. So, I want to start learning how to remove the pressure of recording and filming and really focus more on things that matters, which is actually doing the trading and doing it properly. So why did I enter this trade? By the way, this is 1:6.6. It was a very massive win. Why did I enter this trade? Now, this market broke out from here. I entered this trade because of basically two reasons. Now, if you watch, you will see that under 1 hour, this point was the last set of buyers. Why did I say that? They were the people that took this price up to this highest point. So when we got to this point, remember this point, this highest point, the movement came from here. So now the sellers took out these buyers that took these prices up. Now I will wait for what I call the falling candle. Now at this point, the falling candle came. The market continued to trend up. Now whenever I see that we now start closing with the body of the candle below the point where the last people that caused the reaction were before, so now I know that we are ready to sell. So but another thing was off the session. There wasn't any enough volume to push this market. So what did I do? I waited for when there is volume, and the volume came in right about here once it was 2 p.m. Now I learned my lessons though. I learned my lessons by trying not to trade when there is no volume. Okay, because especially before 2 p.m. Now, if you are trading USD JPY, the 4 hours candle closes around 2 p.m. Then another one opens which will close around 6 p.m. So I like to come in after the close of that candle, and that was exactly what I did here. Now, outside of this indication, outside of all of this that happened, outside of this BVM, because we broke a visible mode that was molding, after we broke it here, if I didn't want to use that as my criteria, another indication happened here. Now let's say this point here, what caused this reaction? You ask yourself, what caused this reaction? This whole reaction came from this point. It came from, now let's say I don't want to use this as my criteria for entry, although the things are just visible here. Now let's say this movement here came from here. These are two reasons for me to enter this trade. Okay, these two movements, this movement here came from here. So what do I do at this point? I will mark out the 2 points. Let me delete this to make it more clear. I will mark out this point, okay, and then I will mark out this point. This was the highest point, right? Good. Now I'm waiting for the market to break out from either of these 2 points. At this point, the market broke down from the downside. What do? I will wait for my falling candle. Now this falling candle came around 10 a.m. The market did as if it will continue to repeat what it did here. If you watch, you will notice that there is a buying pressure that pulled these prices up. So now this body close of a candle, particularly this type of ones here, will fool people to think that the same reaction that happened here is going to repeat itself again. But what people fail to realize is that if this was to repeat itself, we wouldn't have broken it in the first place. And not just that we broke it with, let's say, the wick of the candle, which may not really count. We broke it with a body and a convincing body of the candle, which shows that it actually counts, that the people who were actually pushing the prices up from here, they have been taken out of the market. Now, with these two confirmation, remember the other one came from here. Let's say I don't want to use this particular one. The other one came from here. The falling candles were made, although this one is more of like a bigger time frame. Now, even on a lower time frame, the market is also offering another opportunity to enter. The market is offering another opportunity to enter, which was this. So when I saw all of this, I was now waiting for the market to turn back bearish, because if you go to a lower time frame, I just want to analyze this trade pretty well so that we get to understand what happened here. We are making a series of, we are building structure until it got broken, and that was why I entered. So if you watch here, this was the lowest point. The market pulled up, we came low, it pulled up, repeated it. At this point, we are making equal highs. Now the market finally broke down. Now when I saw that we closed with the body of the candle under 15 minutes below this point below this point, I quickly took my trade. And as God will have it, my take profit was below the point where the last set of buyers were, which was this point. So because I have noticed that if you are taking this type of trade, just set your take profit below the point where the last set of buyers were. And the last set of buyers were at this point. They were the people that pushed these prices right up to this point. So just below them, because anytime the market gets below here, the market will react. It will react in the direction it's coming from. And I leveraged off of this. I made 1:6. So with this, we are out of this. Now to US oil. So US oil, I plan to short it till this point, but I closed out here, and I'm going to say the reason why I closed out. Why did I close out? Francis, why did you close out? Everybody is subjective, and you know what works for you though. So same principle, okay? The market was trending. Now we made this low, okay? When we made this low, the next point to sell this market from is from here. That is a truth, because when we made this low, the market pulled up and then we came down again. So that shows that these buyers that took these prices up have been taken out of the market. They have been annihilated. Their money has been taken. So anything below here has the potential to go down. Now I think I will just have to scrap either US. I will have to scrap USDJPY, because if you look at the structures, they are pretty much the same. So now the market moved up. When it got to this point, you now start watching the reaction. You just watch the market. When it reached this highest point, it came down to this point. That means this point was as effect of this. Now from this point, the market broke down. The market took out the people that are causing this reaction, because if you look closely, you will notice that there is a buying pressure. There were people that pushed these prices back up. So finally, the market took them out. The market took their money. Now, as I would always wait for, I would wait for what I call the fooling candle. The fooling candle. Now, the fooling candle came at this point. Now, people thought that because at this point, the market went up, that when a body of the candle closes around here, the market will continue to also go up. But that didn't happen. Actually, to be honest with you, I planned to long this market. My reason being that we went from this point to this point, and then when we got to this point, the market was dancing around, and finally we broke out from here. So I was waiting for the market to actually come down and then continue to go up. But something funny happened, and that changed my perspective. Now, when we made this high, this is the next low we made. Okay? Why did the market come down and break this low? That shows that something has been broken. Remember, BVM, break of visible mode. The mode you are seeing is telling us that we are going up. So it was when this thing now occurred that we broke out from here that the scales in my eyes opened. I was like, wait a minute. So why did we break here? Because I actually missed out on this trade. I should have taken this short from here because we have made a fooling candle. So, but I was looking out for buy, so I did not take the sell, which is this sell here. Now, when this happened, the next thing I now knew that we are now shorting the market. So, with that being said, I now waited for another opportunity for me to enter. another opportunity for me to enter, because I can't just miss the two opportunities like that. So when this happened, I waited for the next day. Now, on this next day, look at the second attempt the market made to continue to go up failed, and this was when there was no volume around 8 a.m. So with this being said, I just waited for when the session was on, and when I started seeing rejection signs, I now entered this market for shorts. And as always, just target a point below the last reaction, which is this point. So when we got to this point, the market flashed through. So I held till Thursday. The market even went lower. So, but at this point, I started noticing some rejections. I started noticing that this market may not really want to continue to go down. So I started noticing some rejection, and I finally closed today. Actually today, because I closed some of this trade on Friday, and then I closed the final one today. My reason is this: yes, we have made a new low, which signals that we'll continue to make a lower low. But when this actually happens, what happens is that the market will climb up and break this high and even go up to this point. I'm still bearish, because under a higher time frame, you actually notice that we need to make a faking candle for this market to be, ranging this way. Is taking way too long. So we need to make a faking candle that will make people think that we are going up. And then after that faking candle, and I see structures that suggest that we are going down, then I can continue the trend. But at this point, me holding this trade is me being greedy, because this market can continue to, really shoot up. So I felt this is right about the time for. Had it been we made this lower low and then prices around this point, then I know, we may continue to go down. But with the kind of structures I'm seeing, if you check under 1 hour now, or under 15 minutes, you will notice that the market has, started building structures against my position. So that was why I left this trade. So this trade made me 1:5, 1:5.2, which is not that bad. So yeah, this was it for US oil. Now back to USD JPY. I was on this position, but I closed manually. Yes, my SL didn't hit, but I closed manually. I closed manually to discipline myself, because if you watch right here, I said I didn't wait for a proper body close 15 minutes. That was just the reason why I closed this trade. Not that my SL has hit, and I'm trying to build a very strong discipline. Every other thing in this trade is okay, just that I jumped the gun, and that is enough for me to close the trade. Yes, that is enough for me to close the trade. Discipline over profit, because if I'm disciplined to the core, the profits will come with time. So now, same principle. I checked the market. Now we made this new low. Okay. Now let's say I just wake up. This is the new low. I ask myself, what did this thing lead to? It led to us coming up to this point. Now we are at this point. Now the market broke out from here. Now when this market broke out from here, I'm waiting for what? My falling candle. Here comes my falling candle that deceives people to think that the same reaction that we had here, we're going to have it. Now, had it been this candle came up and took out these sellers here, then you know that the trend has changed. But since it did not do it, whenever I see the body of the candle close below this point, I will now assume that the reaction that happened here will continue. And in this case, we are going to go lower than this point. My bias for short hasn't changed yet, but the entry was wrong. Why was my entry wrong? My entry was wrong because we didn't close with the body of the candle below here. What do I mean by that? A proper body of the candle. If you watch, this body of the candle looks more of like a rejection. It looks more of like a rejection. And I entered a bit late. Not bad, but this candle here looks more of like a rejection. Had it was something of this nature, I would really appreciate it. So that was why I left. I should have waited for a proper body close of the candle for me to actually enter this trade. So I closed manually, and of course I've made 1 is to 6, 1 is to 5, which is almost 1 is to 12. So me losing one is not a biggie. So yeah, this is it for so far. I may not be making videos like back to back. I like to give myself time now, and then the videos will definitely come, but let it not be like I am scouting for videos to post. No, that is not the I feel like that is not the real deal now. The real deal is for me to get my stuff together and be a better trader, and then I'll make reviews like this and post um, when it is convenient for me. Yeah, because yeah, when it's convenient for me. But yeah, this is just my trade so far, and I wish and I pray that I keep growing as a trader and will keep smashing and making the profits. Yeah, I'm FX. Peace out.